an appointment made under this paragraph, then for the purpose of function conferred upon the whole of that office, the last person appointed shall be the sole holder thereof. In other words, is this: if Sila Prasad was on retirement leave and Deputy Commissioner Ramnaran was appointed, he could be appointed commissioner or act commissioner. He, because of the retirement leave of Sila Prasad, Ramnaran will be the sole holder on the 228-2. And I think that is useful to know. I have to look at that. So since Sila Prasad was never on leave of absence pending relinquishment of the office of commissioner, Deputy Commissioner Ramnaran could not have been appointed on the 28-2 to the office of Commissioner of Police. Therefore, he was never Commissioner of Police while Sila Prasad was on annual or vacation leave. And the power and authority of Commissioner always remained vested in Sila Prasad at all times. It would have been different if he was on pre-retirement leave. It therefore follows that all material times, Commissioner Sila Prasad, even though on annual or vacation leave, had administrative power and authority. Now I dealt with under the Police Act with the functional power and authority of the officer in charge of the station. But in the case of they had administrative power and authority to instruct the grant of bail to Nizam Prasad, or even Khan, or Gilad. But did he so to instruct? I will answer that question. I leave that to the Commission. Even if he did, there was more than sufficient factual basis for him to exercise his administrative discretionary power to instruct the grant of station bail. Now, treason. Well, we heard from the legal advisor with the treason. But what I wish to say is this. Section 316 of the Criminal Law Offences Act, Chapter 801, reads as follows. Anyone who within Guyana knows of any treason and also does not forthwith reveal it to the President, a minister, a magistrate, or justice of the peace shall be guilty of misprision of treason, and on conviction thereof shall be liable for 5 years. Clearly, if this was treason, Gillard was exposing himself to a charge of misprision of treason. But the police did not see it fit to detain Gillard for this offense. I have no problem with that. Why? The answer is obvious. If Gillard's report lacked credibility, then there was no treason. And there was no basis for detaining Gillard for misprision of treason. If the police took the view that the story lacked credibility, it is right and proper that both he and Khan be put on bail. But if the police did not take the view that Gillard report realistically exposed Gillard himself, if the police did not take the view that Gillard's report exposed Gillard himself to the offense of misprision of treason, then police could not take the view that it realistically also exposed Nizam Khan to treason. If there's no misprision of treason for a thing, then it can't be treason to he, for Nizam Khan. So I'm saying that the decision to send both of them on bail was not only reasonable but correct. Now, last but not least, question of oath. On the evidence, Gilad said he's a convert to Islam for years now. He's proud and he's not ashamed to be a Muslim, and he subscribes to the Muslim tenet that there is no God but Allah. He's saying that he's bringing up his young son in the Muslim faith. I have no basis to doubt it. But the holy book for Muslims is the Quran, not the Bible. Gilad twice took oath on the Bible and not the Quran. At the time he took the oath, it was the Quran and not the Bible which was binding on his conscience. What is binding on your conscience is the oath that you take. The Bible, according to Gilad's own evidence, it was the Quran which was binding on his conscience and not the Bible. He deliberately elected to make an oath on a holy book which was not binding on his conscience. He deliberately elected, he had all that day, he elected to take the oath on a book which was not binding on his conscience. He therefore made statements before this Commission of Inquiry, which was not testimony at all, and therefore has no evidential value as a matter of law. You see, it is irrelevant whether or not he was prepared to go undergo a polygraph test as you suggested. In a court of law or a COI, it is the sanctity of the oath or affirmation which is relevant to truth. It is the sanctity of the oath, not polygraph, sanctity of the oath. Not polygraph test. A polygraph test relates to truth in out-of-court investigation, and not in court or in COI. This is precisely why both the Evidence Act and the COI Act, more particularly Section 10 of the COI Act, Chapter 1903, both require the taking of an oath or an affirmation as a prerequisite to testify. Gillard falsely swore an oath which did not bind his conscience, and he did not affirm. What he stated before this tribunal is therefore of no evidential value. He has committed a fundamental fraud upon this commission. His falsity knows no bounds. He is a true descendant of the biblical Ananias. Fanatics, no mean order, a good schemer rather than a good planner. As he probably described himself in his career as a good planner. I think he is more a schemer than a planner. Now, in conclusion, I will state this. The major crime unit of the Guyana police force should be complimented for uncovering the falsity of Gillard's mischievous allegations. Uncovering. Rather than being castigated for any investigative cover-up. This is uncovering, not covering up. Their investigations were done with all due diligence and uncovered rather than covered up. Whatever minor omissions or infractions might have occurred during the investigation did and could not have impacted on the results of the investigation. Truth was unearthed at the expense of falsity, and truth is the foundation of justice. And I'm sure that the Commissioner did not fail to note Gillard's propensity to make wild, irrelevant, and scurrilous allegations against members of the police force in general, and more particularly members of the CIP. It was a proof. During me testifying, I'm sure the Commission could not have failed to note that Gillard had this propensity. This could not have escaped the attention of the Commission. I'm sure it did not. That is all I have.
Thanks, Mr. Chang.
Good morning, Mr. Slowe. I'm sorry for my late arrival. I've asked the permission of my friends to go next. If it pleases you.
Once they agree, it's okay with me.
Senior Counsel Chang and myself have similar interests, so to speak. He is the counsel for the Guyana Police Force, and I'm counsel for the police.
I'm generally specific.
Exactly. And I wish to unhesitatingly and unapologetically endorse all the views exposed by my learned senior. I found them to be instructive and very incisive. I have tried in my submissions to avoid covering anything that he has covered. Which is a tough job. For my own clarity, I attempted to summarize the terms of reference. On reading them, I found them to be a little repetitive. So I had to, in my mind, I had to sort of condense it and clear it up. So, in my view, The mandate of the Commission can be summarized as follows. The Commission is first to determine the factual circumstances leading up to the Gillard report. Secondly, they must determine the Guyana Police Force response to such report. Thirdly, they must identify who may have had knowledge of a plan to assassinate the president, and in the case of police officers with such information, whether such officers communicated that information to a superior authority. And I note that in the terms of reference, in substance, term of reference 2 and term of reference 4 are exactly the same. This commission also has to review the Guyana Police Force response with a view to identifying instances of failures, neglect, and omissions with regard to the manner of such response. And if necessary, determine whether the failure, neglect, or omission was intentional and recommend action against those found to be blameworthy or guilty of neglect or other failure. And then lastly, to recommend steps that can be taken to prevent future failures of the Guyana Police Force. With that as my understanding of the terms of reference, I wish to first state that the very establishment of this Commission of Inquiry and the terms of reference presupposes that the Guyana Police Force was not diligent in the investigation of the Gillard report, and that there were systemic failures. Individual instances of neglect